Good afternoon and welcome to Today on Bay TV. I'm Gaynor Morgan and with me today are Mal Pope, Councillor Robert Francis Davies and Lyndon Jones from the Swansea International Festival. But first of all, it's our 300th programme. I think we should begin by rolling back the clock. What a difference 300 programmes makes. And I think now we can have a message from Chris Davies, who was with us from the very outset.
Just a quick message to say hello to you all at Bay TV and a massive llongyfarchiadau, a massive congratulations to you all on the Today Show for reaching your 300th show. I remember the first back in July 2016, the 12th of July 2016. I think it was a Tuesday. I don't know why that springs to mind. But yeah, and everybody was, quite nervous because it was the first time we'd broadcast and aired to the area. And now you're celebrating your 300th show, so well done you. It was fantastic. I remember celebrating our 50th show. Gaynor was the presenter along with Kai Williams, and Kai brought in a golden wedding anniversary balloon with 50 in gold figures on the balloon to decorate the studio appropriately. So yeah, I hope you've got a 300th balloon there. Do you know where you're going to get one of those from?
And of course we have. And where did we get it? Swansea Market, Waddingtons. So, some celebrations there. But on another note, today is of course a very grave day. Of all the news coming out of Las Vegas after a difficult weekend anyway. It's hard to know really what take to put on this sort of thing, Mal. Have you been thinking?
Yeah, and it's it's so fresh on Twitter, isn't it? Because you're not just hearing the news, the headlines. You're suddenly seeing pictures of people running for their lives. You almost feel as if you're a part of it, and then it becomes almost like a reality TV show, doesn't it? But these are real people's lives.
I've sort of picked on you to start because you wrote a very moving piece after the Manchester.
Yes, and it's how it affects us all, isn't it? And the whole thing about fear. In reality, what are the numbers? 50 or 60 people killed. Everyone's,
100 injured.
Yeah, one person's death is a tragedy. A million is a statistic. And in reality, it's probably not ever going to affect us, but it just changes your whole view of life. Going to a concert suddenly becomes scary. It shouldn't be, and we shouldn't allow it. But when you see it so much, just on your own phone or your tablet or your TV, it's hard for it not to affect your personal life.
And Lyndon, of course, we're in the thick of concerts here in the Swansea International Festival at the moment.
One of the things I remember saying to you before on this show is that festivals exist to put a smile on a town's face, and you can't think of anything more harrowing than all of this being done with the best intentions, and then some mindless lunatic has just kind of destroyed so many lives just for whatever reason you can't possibly begin to speculate, but it's absolutely ghastly.
They have named him, haven't they? Paddock, is it? Or the suspect. But I don't think anybody's attributed any reasons. Councillor Robert Francis Davies?
Well, it is, as Lyndon said, it is mindless, some mindless lunatic, and it seems to be happening all over the world, and it's like, and it's always where lots of people congregate, but it could be at a bus station, a rail station, a football match, a concert. And there are so many places that people congregate in large numbers, it's impossible.
And it's these iconic places, isn't it? Even if you haven't been, Sunset Strip, I mean, it's part of our DNA, isn't it? We all know about it. And of course, Mal, it's been a sad week for you on a personal note. You lost your friend and colleague, Helen Thompson.
Yeah, and again, you can empathise with people who've lost their life in Las Vegas and the families. But when someone quite close to you goes, and it's untimely, he was 54 years old. 2 weeks ago, he was presenting the programme.
He was a Radio Wales sport.
Yeah, on BBC Radio Wales, the programme that I actually presented to him as a tribute. And it just, Rob Brydon was a very good friend of his, and I had a long chat with him this morning. And obviously everybody said lots of lovely things about Alan Thompson, as you do, you know, because...
and you did last night, and I think we've had lots of tweets appreciating just what you had to say last night in your tribute. They are a joy to listen to Alan each Sunday night. Oh, thank you for your tribute, it was lovely.
Yeah, radio's a funny medium, you know. It's because obviously with TV now, we're here, but there's lots of other people doing lots of other jobs, or hopefully doing other jobs. But with radio, it's just you and a microphone.
And I always felt that radio was a very intimate medium. You made friends with radio, whereas TV was a bit more starched. I hope that this is different. This is very friendly.
Yes.
But I always felt the radio, you're just connecting to one person, aren't you?
And also you've got to deliver so much material that actually you can't pretend to be somebody else. If you're doing a 2 or 3 hour show and you've got lots of things to say, well, actually, the only things you can say are from the heart or from memory, you know. So you get to know somebody really well. And what was lovely from the audience was that they felt he was a friend. They felt the same way as we did about working with him. So it was and to be honest, it's a tough gig. It's probably the toughest gig I've ever had to do, to see a friend's life in front of me and hear about him for an hour. It was an hour or two. It was really, really hard. But obviously, I was very proud and honoured to ask to do the show.
Yes, sad day, but you did a lovely tribute to him.
Thank you very much.
It was well appreciated.
Yeah.
So we'll move on, and I think we're going to discuss now what happened on this day in history, and lots. We've been talking a lot about airplanes and Monarch and everything today. So 1950, the Welsh Air Service was the world's first regular passenger helicopter service. It started on this day in 1950 by British European Airways. Do you remember that? BEA, I'd forgotten about that.
This is always the bit of the show that feels a bit like University Challenge.
Just see it on the screen. We could just see it looks very sort of 1950s-ish there. So it was flying from Cardiff, from Pengamore near Splot, and it was a Sikorsky S-51 for...
Oh, where did it go?
Where did it go? Oh, it went to Wrexham.
Oh, I see.
Cork in Wrexham, and Speke Airport in Liverpool in 2 hours. Monday to Friday, carried up to 6 passengers. But unfortunately, passenger numbers were too low to make the service
Didn't
economic.
They've probably succeeded.
Nothing changes then. Nothing changes.
No. And then another one we've got is in 1787 at Pencaer Ellen in Llangollen Bryn Pabion near Bilswells, Reverend Thomas Price. He was regarded as the leading figure in the cultural life of Wales, and his great achievement was his Hanes Cymru, the history of Wales. Are we all fans of him?
Yeah. Robert, you were in school with him, weren't you?
I think he was a year below me.
Snapper.
He was actually a major influence on Lady Charlotte Guest and assisted her in her translation of the Mabinogion. I don't know if we've got any pictures. I'm sure we haven't got any VT of him.
Yes.
Charlotte Guest. But there we go. And Charlie Brown, Little Folks, later Peanuts. That was 1950 as well. We all remember that, don't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the music's great. It's all that lovely jazz music, isn't it? On from the cartoons. So love that.
And in 1902, Beatrix Potter's The Tale of Peter Rabbit was published by Frederick Warne and Co. in London. And she's timeless, isn't she? Yeah. So I was up in the Lake District a couple of weeks ago, and we went to her farm. And I knew that she had been responsible for saving the Herdwick sheep, but I didn't realise that she'd given all these tens of thousands of acres to the National, or forerunner of the National Trust all those years ago. So she was a pretty advanced lady, really, ahead of her time. And of course, her original drawings, I mean, they're so precise, you know, it's just wonderful. And the trouble she took with each proof. Back to Swansea, and in 1937, the death of Swansea Jack. He was a black retriever from the North Dock area of Swansea. And of course, we know that he saved the life of a young boy, and a few weeks later he rescued the life of a swimmer from the docks. He went on to save the lives of 27 people. There he is, love him. Isn't there a statue of him somewhere on the promenade?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I think the Harlan's rugby ground. He died on the 2nd of October 1937 after eating rat poison.
Oh, that's right.
And I suppose lots of people think...
For a hero.
A lot of people think we call Swansea Jacks after
The dog.
or is it because of the Jack Tars? I'm not sure, but
What is it? No, you should know.
Well, don't think there's another one. Is that it's people who came from out of town used to come to the market and used to call them Jacks, or one way around, or the other way around.
Yeah.
So, but it's lost in history. It's
Certainly.
we're all proud to be Jacks now.
yeah.
So Swansea Jack the Retriever certainly is an icon, isn't he? And we always think of him. Anyway, thank you all. We've had a run through quite a lot so far. We're going into a break, and after the break, we'll be looking at all that's going on in the papers.
Important is that we deliver better services. We see better services being
Welcome back to Today on Bay TV. If you're wondering what the balloons are, because perhaps you've just joined us, it's our 300th programme. So got some lovely balloons from Swansea Market. Anyway, with me is Mal Pope. I've also got Councillor Robert Francis Davies and Lyndon Jones from the Swansea International Festival. I think we're going to start with today's papers. Lots in the papers. Of course, the tragic events from Las Vegas were too late for the papers. But there's pretty much of a tragedy unfolding in Catalonia at the moment, I think, isn't it?
Well, it seems to be an absolute nonsense that the Spanish government sent all those police in and kicking, using batons, dragging women by their hair. It's that if they want people to stay as a united Spain, I think is the last way to act. And I think that is going to ensure now that Catalonia will actually push for independence. You know, a nation of 7.5 million, the same size as Belgium. And they're trying to go through a democratic process, forcing people and refusing people to be allowed to vote isn't the way to go about it.
There were tragic reports overnight where there were the Catalonian police and firefighters were trying to protect voters from the Madrid police. I mean, sort of echoes of the miners' strikes back in the 1920s.
Yeah, or of Franco's time in Spain. Yeah, absolutely.
Because when we were kids, I mean, Spain was a dictatorship. It's not that long. It's not that long ago, and it was so reminiscent of those scenes that you've seen on newsreels in black and white. And for it to be in our time, you just think we never learn our lessons, do we?
And of course, there was such a big connection, wasn't there, with Wales and the UK? So many people went to fight, didn't they? Yeah.
In Spanish Civil War.
Yeah. But it's frightening times, and of course you can ask the question. I don't know whether we can see any of the newspaper headlines. So we haven't got any headlines about the Catalonia crisis. Of course, it was erupting overnight. But there are questions. You know, where was the European Union? They haven't condemned Spain, have they?
The whole world is watching. It means that chant, isn't it, from the Vietnam War when the students were protesting, and they were saying the whole world is watching it, and never has that been more true. Because as you say, the newspapers are having to play catch up because social media has it immediately.
Exactly,
yesterday through the day I was getting these updates, and you're thinking, this can't be the 21st century. This can't be Europe, can it?
It makes you feel, doesn't it, the veneer of civilization is actually very thin.
Don't say that.
There's a great poet by a friend of mine called Steve Turner, and it's just history repeats itself. It has to. No one listens. And we're that close always to just losing it, aren't we?
Very, very, very sad times. But I suppose that's a story that's unfolding. It won't be the end of it, will it, really?
No. In fact, I think it'll go from strength to strength, the Catalonian demands now.
And I'm sure in some way it'll play into the Brexit negotiations as well, because, the idea that Europe itself is starting to fragment is not one that's going to help either side, I think. So, it's all quite worrying.
Yeah, strange dynamics at work at the moment. Of course, it's the Conservative Party conference in Manchester, isn't it?
Robert?
I don't attend that.
I'm surprised you're here, Robert. I thought you're never going to make it in time.
Anyway, Theresa May the Prime Minister Theresa May gave an interview this morning, very pertinent to Swansea, about the electrification or the non-electrification of the Cardiff to Swansea line. I think she said could be improved anyway. Shall we hear from the lady herself?
Important is that we deliver better services. We see better services being delivered for passengers coming from Swansea and, of course, across along the Great Western Main Line. And that can be done in a whole variety of ways. Our focus is on making sure that we improve the service. And with the new bi-mode technology for trains, it's possible to do that without electrifying the whole of the line. Looks like we're heading up for a lot of hold-ups over the next few years.
Okay, now when I used to go to London as a kid, like 13 and 14, it used to take me 2 hours and 40 minutes. It actually takes me longer to get to London these days.
It's shocking,
That's
really.
not progress, is it?
Yeah.
I don't even think of getting a train anymore.
How do you get that?
I jump in the car. One is too expensive. I'm a great believer. I'd renationalise the railways myself, but it's we were promised we'd have more choice, better prices, quicker. And we were promised by the Conservative government an electrification of the rail. Now, that was a promise. Now they're saying, it'll be a mixture of electric and diesel. And that announcement was made on the same day that government said, in 8 years' time, we're not going to have any more diesel cars. Now then, but it's all right to have diesel trains. Now, to me, that's a nonsense. When we are all looking at hybrid cars or electrification of the vehicle, the internal combustion engine, as far as I'm concerned, is dead. It's now going to be electrification. And they're going to bring diesel into Swansea. That doesn't make sense. But more importantly, I think, why the Tidal Bay Lagoon should go ahead, because we're going to need more power, more electrification.
Absolutely.
And they're silent on it when you had, the independent review by an ex-Tory, cabinet minister, saying it is a no-brainer, it's got to happen, and just that. But the silence on it is definite.
It's very worrying because it doesn't all go well for investment in Swansea, does it?
Well, I think we're going through the best era in Swansea of looking at it, but we all need to be, the politics aside, Wales needs investing in, and that 1.3 billion. All right, perhaps I can live a little bit for the time being without the electrification. But the electrification to Swansea is not good enough anyway. It should be right the way down to West Wales to link up with the ferries to Ireland. People were saying this 25 years ago. So nobody's delivered on it. It's got to happen.
And 400 million for the Northern Powerhouse. A bit rich, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Although having travelled the M6
quite a lot of money to
recently.
Northern Ireland as well. And quite a lot of money to Northern Ireland as well,
Well, that's the politics of it, isn't it?
Yeah. But I don't know, it's just so frustrating, I think, that the Tidal Lagoon could be absolutely game-changing for the entire British nation's electricity production. And it should have been signed off years ago, really. They should just get on with it. That's what's so... And you realise the whole thing is a political football, that's being passed around. A bit like the electrification of the railway. It's something that nobody wants to commit to the spending, but and it sounds from that clip that we heard as though they're just trying to wriggle out of taking responsibility for getting on with it.
Sounds a bit like it, doesn't it, Mal?
Yeah, you just think it's ludicrous that the southeast is so crammed and so much money's going into it. If it was spread out a bit, there wouldn't be quite so much traffic in that part of the world. So maybe
I
it solves some of the
think
problems.
the Prime Minister's probably got a lot on her mind at the
Yes,
moment.
that's
She's
probably
dealing with our Boris,
Pulling
isn't she?
knives
I
out of
think,
her back. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see her talking about Mr. Johnson.
Acknowledge you have a problem of authority in your cabinet.
What I have is a cabinet that are united united in the mission of this government, Andrew, and that's what you will see this week.
A nest of singing birds.
United in a mission to build a country that works for everyone, and agreed on the approach that we take in Florence. That's what I had a cabinet meeting before my Florence speech. Everybody agreed that the position the United Kingdom was taking was absolutely the right one. We're going forward on that basis. But what you'll hear from us this week is what the mission of this Conservative government is for people.
Sure. But if it's a nest of singing birds, it's a nest with at least one enormous cuckoo and several vultures sitting in it as well. This is a cabinet that is not agreeing on very fundamental questions about Brexit. We have seen Boris Johnson publicly demanding more red lines, saying publicly the Prime Minister must now do this, 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 and by the way, on public sector pay she must do this. How can you tolerate somebody behaving like that in your cabinet?
Boris is absolutely behind the Florence speech and the line that we have taken.
But what's he got in his hand?
And you've seen what Boris is saying is the importance of the approach that we've taken in the Florence speech. That has moved the discussion on. It has created a momentum in the European negotiations.
We've got to finish very quickly. Is he unsackable?
Okay. Let's be very clear about what we have here in this government. We have a government that is determined to build a country that works for everyone. And you know what? You talk about Boris's job, you talk about my job.
Yeah.
I think the people watching this programme are actually interested in what we're going to do for their jobs and their futures and their children's futures.
Time is sadly up.
I think we're all fixated on the Boris Johnson drama. That was on the Andrew Marr show. We can't close without alluding to Saturday, the Swans.
Well, I sort of blame Robert Francis Davies for checking the score. Isn't it? Don't they always score when?
As soon as I asked the score, we always seem to score, and it was the 89th minute. And I said to my stepdaughter's partner, I said, 0-0, is it? No, he said, no, they just scored one, lost 1-0, and I think I shouldn't have asked. very superstitious.
You better stop going to matches, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know.
I've always found Wales play much better when I'm out of the room, basically. So, you know, so.
Al, you're a great fan.
Yeah. Saturday disappointing. First half very good. Second half disappointing, and then last minute heartbreak.
Are you worried?
I'm always worried. I'm a Swansea City supporter. You're always worried.
It doesn't all go very well, does it? But fingers crossed.
It's early
beat
days.
Huddersfield
It's
at home
early
now
days,
next.
yeah.
Early days.
There we go.
Come on. 3-1. Next game.
Heading into a break now. We'll chat more after the break. So. Welcome back to Today on Bay TV. I'm Gaynor Morgan, and it's our 300th programme, in case you're wondering what the balloons are behind us.
No champagne.
No, we haven't got any champagne. We have to go on strike. Anyway, with me still is Mal Pope and Lyndon Davies of the Swansea International Festival, and of course Robert Francis Davies, Lyndon Jones, sorry, I beg your pardon. And if we start with you, Mal, I think you've got some exciting news coming up at the Heist this weekend.
Yeah, we've had a very busy weekend as part of the Swansea Fringe. We had some great people like Rag Foundation. Steve Balsamo was there last night. He's fantastic. Last week we had the Morriston Orpheus. We managed to squeeze them all in. But this Thursday we've got Chris Jagger. Now, you always want to say Chris Jagger, Mick's brother. I think he's cool about that. But he's a musician in his own right. I've known him a very long time. So what we're trying to do is bring people we have connections with, bring them to Swansea to show that actually, one, it's a good venue, and two, there's an audience there. So I think we've got a little bit of Chris to hear what he sounds like.
Quite alike, don't they? He's not as wrinkly. He's not a wrinkly rocker.
He's a lot younger, but you can see the love of the blues. That's where that's where the Rolling Stones came out of, that blues and the R&B stuff. So he's maybe more rootsy than his brother was, but great player and a lot of connections with Wales. Some of the musicians are Welsh that he'll be bringing on Thursday. So yeah, really looking forward to that, and I think it's probably the right venue for that type of artist.
So it'll be a great night, and all this without the Swansea International Festival.
Well, you know, as Rob was saying just now, I mean, look, we don't claim to own everything that goes on in this town. The more that happens, the better, you know. I think
it's a very vibrant city, isn't it?
Yeah, and the more you can get on and, you know, the more you bring people out of their homes and the more they come and enjoy social life and all the rest of it. And I think that's what we all want, isn't it?
So how's the festival going?
It's going all right. I'm still wearing my Fringe wristband with pride.
Is it shower-proof?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was. Yes, it seems to be. Both indoors and outdoors. And I was just trying to count then. We had something like 60, 70, 80 events on, all up and down the high street. Amazing weekend. You know, we had... I saw an amazing band called Afro Cluster. I saw great bands at Mal's Place. I saw stand-up comedy at the Grand Theatre. I saw somebody playing an amazing thing called a hand pan in Canolfan Morgannwg. There was just so much brilliant stuff going on.
This is the Fringe, which is sort of preceding the
That's
main
right, which
festival.
just kind of gets things going. And on...
Have you been Cllr at all?
To be honest, last night I was with Dave Cottle in Mamma Mia's, where there was a jazz night on there.
There we are.
And that was great.
Aspect.
Friday night there was a squeeze in Pontedower. You've had great things going on the Heist.
Launched the City of Culture.
City of Culture, we launched it. There's
Simply not enough nights in the week, are there?
Swansea is a festival city all the year, 365 days.
Why not? But I think, Lyndon, you've brought in a little taste of what's on offer for us.
It's the international festival. We got together with Mission Gallery and University of Wales Trinity St David's. We all put some money into bringing an artist over from New York, a guy called Doug Ashford, who's an amazingly distinguished artist. He's been working in New York for years. And he made this film called Bunker 2, which it's kind of quite apocalyptic. It's about how do we make sense of all this kind of news that comes flying at us.
Take a look.
Yeah, you can. But the crucial thing is, it was a collaboration. So we had a live performance with a band called People and Other Diseases, who are from Swansea. So Aled's band played while the film was shown in Swansea for the first time. It was quite exciting.
That's it.
And loud.
All the more power to your elbow. I just thought, Councillor Robert Francis Davies, for your bid for Swansea to be the capital of culture.
Yeah, so bid went in, delivered by Rhys Evans up in the Department of Culture, Media and Sport, and a big thank you to people like Kevin Allen who's helped with it. But this is an all Swansea bid. It is not the council doing it, it is all of Swansea.
And who better to do it than Rhys Evans? Shall we see how he got on?
Kev, yes, yeah, I got it, great. So, oh, great, so we're on. Is it live now, is it? Brilliant, it worked, well done. Yeah, no, I'm really excited. Listen, before I go in, I just want to give you all gathered there this evening in Swansea my heartfelt congratulations on behalf of myself and the whole of Wales for your hard work and diligence over the last years and months leading up to this moment and onwards to the future. So, llongyfarchiadau gwresog I chi gyd. Okay, I'm feeling good about this. I'm feeling lucky. So, listen, I'm just gonna pop to the bookies and I'll be back in a minute. We've got plenty of time. Only joking. Right, I'm going in now. Okay, wish me luck. Okay, come on, Rhys. Ambition is critical. 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 Job done.
the irrepressible Bruce Evans. Perhaps we should get him on Bay TV Swansea, give him some media training. What do you think?
Brilliant.
So, what can we all do to support this bid?
Well, we want everybody in the community. The festival will be about, something on 365 days of the year. There will be the big festivals like Swansea International Festival, Swansea International Jazz Festival, things going on at the Heist.
All to play for. All to play for.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, we've got the Swansea International Festival to enjoy, and of course, it's the Heist is the place to be on Thursday night. Not sure if I'll be there, but anyway, we're heading into a break now, and we'll more to chat after the break. Welcome back to Today on Bay TV, our 300th programme. The balloons are all behind Keith. We have with us Keith Millward, our showbiz editor. And you've been gallivanting again, Keith.
Gallivanting, oh, I can't change the habit of a lifetime. Yeah, they're in everywhere. Yes, I'll be saying about Ebenezer Chapel in a minute. I was there last night for the harvest, but we'll come to that because I want to tell you about what's going on in the theatre this week. And of course, in the Grand Theatre is the Madness musical, Our House. And that's great fun. It's written by Tim Firth, so there is a story. It's been a West End show, and this production stars Drina Payne and also George Sampson of Britain's Got Talent.
Sounds wonderful. We'll get your view of it in a minute, but should we see for ourselves first?
Yes, please.
What we think of it.
What are you going to do, Joe Casey?
The energy. I bet you could feel it in the audience.
Oh, yes. And of course, there's such well-loved songs, and it's a good story because if you know the film Sliding Doors, where there are two possible endings, whichever road you take, that Tim Firth has put the music into the story that a chap is in a difficult situation and he wonders whether he should give himself up to the police or not. And you see both stories, on the same, so it's very cleverly.
So quite different from musicals, isn't it?
Yes, quite different. But Tim Firth's a very clever writer, and with Drina Payne and George Sampson's going to be great, I'm sure.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
And that's on at the Grand all week?
Grand Theatre, yes, starting tomorrow night, so that's going on all week. And up in Britain Ferry, starting tomorrow night, is the Britain Ferry Musical Theatre Company with Fame. We had Barry McIlroy last week, director of Fame, and that's going to be a winner. I know that now. Of course, we remember the 1980 film and the 1982 TV series.
It started as a film, didn't it?
Started as a film, but I think the TV series was even more popular. I remember rehearsing at the time, and you go to rehearsals and everybody would be wearing the leg warmers and the sweatbands, Never felt they suited me, though. I don't know. I've got the wrong shape head or something. I don't know what it is. But there's a more serious play then coming to the Taliesin Theatre this Thursday, Friday. It's the Not About Heroes. It's the story of Wilfred Owen and Siegfried Sassoon, the Welsh poets in the First World War. Well, I was mentioning a Welsh poet because there was Heath Wyn as well. But this story is particularly about Siegfried Sassoon and Wilfred Owen in the trenches, and sadness, but a wonderful friendship there.
Yes, we know about them individually as poets, but what's the sort of theme of the play?
Well, it's just showing the horror of war, and without giving too much away, Siegfried Sassoon with an injury, and I suppose they used to call it shell shock then, and now it's post distress, isn't it? Yes, but a shell shock, but very well done. It's an older play. I thought it was a new play. I did see it in Pontedau Arts Centre last week, so I can recommend it. It's quite stylised speech, though, so you get into that, and then you see this wonderful friendship forming.
It's quite an art, isn't it, to create a play like that. that's emotional and tells the story without coming out feeling depressed.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, there is the sadness, obvious sadness, but you know, you respect
informed more
yes,
than...
it's always an education, isn't it? It's because it's a true story, and I always get so much out of any entertainment if I find that it is based on a truth. There's a play at the Pontedower Arts Centre, and that's on the 5th of October. It's the Puppet Estate Theatre. That's Leaf by Niggle by J.R. Tolkien.
Right.
You know, the Lord of the Rings we know, don't we? But this is a lesser-known work because we've been talking about the Swansea International Festival, and I'd like to bring your attention to two events, particularly with the BBC National Orchestra of Wales, with an evening this Friday, Dvorak and Copeland as well, and Catherine Finch. This is at the Brangwyn Hall, and on Saturday, a lovely event for the family, a family concert given again by the BBC National Orchestra of Wales, and that's at 3 o'clock. So everybody, you know, the whole family together enjoying music.
Is that in the Brangwyn?
And that's in the Brangwyn as well.
Perfect
You know,
venue,
so that's
really,
great, isn't it? And I've been asked to mention that Dunvant Male Voice Choir are recruiting, and last night, coming back to what I was saying earlier about Ebenezer Chapel, and it was a sensational evening, very well, tear-jerking, heartwarming evening, because the choir every harvest will take part, and it, of course, Ebenezer Chapel Dunvant is where the Dunvant Male Voice was born, and they sang some beautiful songs last night, and to be part of that would be something very special.
Perhaps we can be part of it now.
Oh yes, please.
Time passes. Listen, time passes. Come closer now. Every morning when I wake, dear Lord, a little prayer I make. Oh, please to keep thy lovely eye on all poor creatures born to die. And every evening at sundown, I ask a blessing on the town. For whether we last the night or no, I'm sure it's always touch and go. We are not wholly bad or good, who live our lives under milkwood. And thou, I know, wilt be the first to see our best side, not our worst. Oh, let us see another day. Bless us all this night, I pray. And to the sun we all will bow and say goodbye, but just for now.
That was beautifully done,
It's beautiful,
Keith, wasn't it?
They are
Really.
beautiful singers, the Dunvant Male Voice, but we respect all the wonderful work that's been done by all male
film
voice
work was
choirs.
wonderful as well.
Really lovely. But the recruitment campaigns tonight, the open rehearsal evening, they're calling it, at the Lewis Jones Sports Bar and Grill in Gorsinan.
I wouldn't be able to say that.
So, yes, between 7 and 9 o'clock.
7 tonight.
7 to 9, yes.
7 to 9.
Yes, in the Lewis Jones Sports Bar and Grill. Yeah, so, but a beautiful,
Thanks.
beautiful.
Thank you, Keith. Let's hope lots of people turn up. I'm sure they will. Well, Been a good programme, I think. So thanks to all our guests today. Next on Bay TV, we have our afternoon matinee. Today, it's the film The Big Valley, starring Richard Long.